We're going to talk about one of my favorite social skill lessons. It's the two-question rule. I came across the two-question rule when at one of Jed Baker's workshops and through his manual on social skills, and it's quite a neat skill. It's funny how sometimes we take some of our social language for granted, but when you really break it down and make it more concrete, we realize that a lot of the children that we work with are missing some of these fundamental elements in social language. So with the two-question rule, the lesson plan has the visual representation on the front sheet, and then the back sheet walks you through how we teach the lesson in class. For the child, we introduce this visual that I put together for this lesson, and there's a formula that's applied. The first child will ask a question, which is represented by the blue arrow, and then the second child answers the question, and then basically repeats the same question back. Now, this might seem automatic for many of us when we get into a situation where we say, "Hi, how are you?" and then the other person would say, "Fine," and "How are you?" back, or "How was your weekend?" And then the receiver answers, and then if they are socially acute, they would ask you how your weekend was in return. So that would be the two-question rule. When teaching this to the children, we expand beyond the normal "How are you?" and returning with another "How are you?" with all kinds of scenarios. What did you do last weekend? Or what do you want to play? So when a child gets into a social situation and they ask their friend, "What do you want to play?" their friend will answer, and then the friend ideally would then turn around and say, "What do you want to play?" This lesson gets really fun when we go around and we drill the children, literally, one after another, asking all variety of questions. For example, what's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite ice cream? Who's your favorite teacher? Your day of the week? What's your favorite color? When's your birthday? On and on. And the child answers the question and then turns around and asks the same question back. It actually turns into a game, and then the children do it to each other. So the adult initiates this process, and then we ask the children to ask each other questions, and then they're acknowledged for then offering the two-question rule back. So one child will go to another and say, "What's your favorite color?" And then the second child would say, "Blue." And then they turn around and say to their friend, "What's your favorite color?" And that first child might say green or something like that. Our typical approach is that we always have most of the time we have a smaller visual to accompany this. So in this one, it's just the two children eating popcorn and with the blue arrow and the red arrow, question, and then same question back. This visual is held in close proximity to the children during their conversations to remind them that they offer the second question back, the same question. Down the road, when we do more advanced conversation skills like starting conversations and joining conversations and maintaining a conversation and even maintaining a conversation during play, that the two-question rule really becomes one of the most fundamental, basic social language skills that the child use. It's actually a strong building block, and it's fun. A lot of times I will encourage the parent to generalize this skill at home by purposely baiting your child with questions when they're in a good mood, and then having that smaller visual and saying, "Aha, I got you. You forgot the two-question rule." Or maybe start off by holding the visual much like this and begin asking them questions, and they in turn will then ask you the questions back. And then of course you can fade the visual, and then do that. And they come home from school and you maybe cooked a fresh plate of cookies or a bowl of popcorn or something like that, and you begin talking to them as they begin to snack with you. Or I know some families that like to just go through the mail, and when the mail comes, it's something that kind of pulls them together. They're doing a common task, and then you start fielding them with these questions. And for many of the children, they don't like to answer questions when it comes to, or they find it hard to answer questions when it comes to things that might have occurred during the day, like "How was your day?" or what did you do today? What was your favorite thing that happened today? But when you add this lesson to it, and then they in turn get to ask you, um, that actually changes the dynamic a little bit. I know some parents who will have a hard time asking their, getting information from their child as to how their day went at school, and you're dying to know, of course. So when they do the two-question rule, they might say something like, "Hey, what was your favorite thing that happened today at school?" And when the child understands that they're doing the two-question rule, they in turn can ask you the same question. And then you can reverse it. You can ask the child to say, "You could ask me the first question," and then they can ask you, "What was your favorite thing today at work or at home or whatever you might have done?" And then you turn around and ask them the same question. It actually changes the dynamic, and it can become fun. One of the reasons why we do the two-question rule is that the when you're in a conversation, generally speaking, if the topic is agreeable, that when a person receives an on-topic question, it can be a pleasing event. So by teaching the child to do the two-question rule, we're teaching them to offer their friend or others the same question they received. And so when the other person gets that question back to them, that could be a pleasing event. So in effect, we're teaching the children to be social pleasers in a way, which increases their overall social value in a conversation.